welcome.
Thank you so much, Doug, for having me. I'm pretty stoked to be here.
And everybody out there, welcome. This is Enterprise AI Weekly. My victim this week is Zyro, who's a developer, an enterprise AI developer in our team. So what we do, Zyro, in this is we talk a little bit about the news and what's going on and what's happened in the last sort of week or two. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about what it's been like at Enterprise AI. So let's just talk a little bit about the news. So there's a few things this week. Mostly the news over the last few weeks has been about infrastructure. You know, somebody's put in $1 billion worth of this and more, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of this. And that's sort of, it's happening, and it's happening every week. But really what we wanted to try and get into today was a little bit more around sort of the human side. So the first one that we sort of found was that Character AI, the CEO lets his 6-year-old use the video AI feature in Character AI, but then they've banned open-ended chat for users under 18. So interesting sort of dynamic. He's still got his kid as a 6-year-old using it, and he's restricted open-ended chat with AI, but you can still play games and closed-ended chat. So, you know, controlled stuff. So it's an interesting sort of move.
There's lots of ramifications in there, I would say. If letting your kid use AI, you need to be more you have to be more focused on parental guidance as well. You can just, it's like sort of similar to letting kids, you're spending too much time on your phone, or you're watching too many movies so many times. And it's kind of like similar at the moment.
Exactly right. It's interesting that he'll let his kid go crazy on it, but it needs to close it down for everybody else. There's then a startup in the US called Hurumo maybe AI. Yeah, that's it. Has no human employees, so they've just gone for it, including the CEO. And apparently it hasn't worked. Got any surprises there?
Yeah. No, I've heard a similar story about this other company.
Oh, yeah?
It's a London-based startup, and they reached a valuation of around $1.5 billion. And they reached $450 million in startup funding. And they were sued for false advertising because they tried to, their tagline was, making software development as easy as ordering a pizza. But then in the background, it's 700 Indian engineers who are working in the background.
Perfect.
So it's like they were sued for AI fraud. Kind of like a similar position.
Perfect. So this has gone the other way. This is just bots, and effectively the long and the short of it for everybody is it didn't work yet. Will it work in the future? Who knows? Right now, it does not work. But there is probably some learnings there around the fact that we are going to need to start watching out for the fact that, you know, what do human beings actually do in this process, and you know, where are we going to be? Coca-Cola is the next one. So for the 2025 holiday campaign, they used AI-generated ads, and certainly Katie, who runs our marketing function here, is certainly going to be in a situation where she knows about this because she talks about it all the time, about the lack of sort of emotive creativity in a lot of what happens in AI and video. And so effectively they got a bit of a backlash. They sent out some AI-generated commercials saying the holidays are coming, and they got a similar sort of backlash as what they did last year. So they tried last year in 2024, they've tried again in 2025, and they got the same thing. Any surprises there, mate?
No, not really. We've got a similar thing back home. There's a news coverage that used also AI reporter.
Oh, really?
And then, they face a lot of backlash from people. It says it's monotonous, and I can kind of agree. There's lots of heaps of things to be developed there, lots of improvements to be made, but we cannot, I guess, prevent the inevitable where some of the people will feel like, oh, this is replacing my job or this job, and then sort of happens. Yeah.
Well, I can assure everybody that we may look monotonous, but we are real. We're not AI.
Yeah.
We're just trying this out. Hey, we're not very good, but we're having a go.
Yeah.
Right. So soulless and lifeless. So we're definitely not soulless and lifeless, and we're pushing forward. And then the last one is, you know, look, really sort of personal AI cloning yourself. Look, I tried this actually for my mum. So my mum's 91, everybody, and I tried to set up my dad, and a lot of people have told me it's completely unethical and this sort of stuff, but my mum really misses my dad. It's been gone 10 years, and I tried to set him up, and I couldn't because I didn't have enough sound of my dad to actually do it. And so anyway, this place is now creating human life models of people. They've been valued at $10.3 million, they've raised $10.3 million in seed fundings. They're obviously worth a lot more. And the idea is to create these sort of digital twins of people. The interesting thing that certainly the AI, when it found this thing, was, as it said, it can personalize AI clones of high value individuals. I thought that was an interesting thing that the AI did when it looked for this article. Like, who's a high value individual? It's a CEO, obviously,
Yeah.
right?
There are lots of people, there are lots of crazies that will actually use this, but I can kind of be sentimental to other people that they want to digitally immortalize their loved ones, their relatives when they're gone. Then they can sort of connect with them on a deeper level.
We could
even if they're
digitally
dead, yeah.
immortalize you,
Yeah.
Zyro. How would that feel? Would you like
No,
that?
that's terrifying, but yeah, I would definitely agree. Maybe
Terrifying
just
for
the
you or
sign.
terrifying for us?
Both. I'll say.
All right. So tell us a little bit, that's probably enough for the news. Tell us a little bit about you from a point of view of how it's been at Enterprise AI. How long have you been with us for now?
I've been in Enterprise AI for about 3 months and 2 weeks now, I'd
Yep.
say. Yeah. So it's been a wild ride. My first day, I had 5 meetings. I just sit in there and then, I don't know anything, but yeah, I'm learning stuff on a rapid pace. And then I've been exposed to different projects and repositories and everything, and different workloads, different niches that I'm not used to before.
Yep.
So yeah.
And what did you do before? What did you do before us?
I was focused on back end stuff like back end software engineering and then machine learning engineering, data analytics, that sort of thing. I was not into. I had knowledge before of AI, like how do you develop AI engineering stuff, but doing that on a production level and then doing front end development on top of that, it's not in my I guess field of expertise until now. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but we're getting there.
Yeah. We sort of learn every day, don't
Yeah.
we? Like it's interesting that you think up something and then you say, I wonder if that'll work, and I wonder if AI will do it.
Yeah,
And
it
then
is.
you try it out. And that whole sort of absolutely no understanding of whether or not it will work is sort of fun, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of discovering every day.
It is. And then previously, before I'd work here, you know what? Fun fact: I never used an agent before.
Really?
Yeah, I've never used agent before
For
ever since
coding?
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will always ask an AI or like a ChatGPT or just ChatGPT. I'll ask him like, "How do you do this thing?" But whenever I tried it, I was sort of hesitant to use agents before because it felt like cheating or there's a stigma behind it. Our developers will say, "Oh, uh, you're using AI, you're not learning too much, you're not really a developer, you're not really an engineer, you're just a vibe coder," sort of thing. But I guess that stigma is getting destroyed every time as soon as we uh, progress through things wherein you will realize that you're going to be 100%, 200% more productive. It's not just for speeding up things and then skipping up the knowledge that you need to the knowledge that you need to have before that, but it's sort of wherein if you do these things, because now speed is like one of the best factors in an equation wherein if you don't speed enough, others will take over you. So now it's like, yeah, learning things, doing with AI, it's much more great rather than before. It's a
So
new
tell me-
tool, so it's like a normal thing now.
So tell me, so 3 months into using agentic coding,
Yeah.
and basically getting, and what that means, so everybody understands that, is rather than just like most people do, which is you ask ChatGPT a question, or you ask Claude or whatever it is a question, and then you take the answer and then you do it yourself, or you copy it into Word. So the developer version of that is that's what we used to do. It'd say, how do you do this? And we'd copy that and put it into the code. Now what we actually do is say, hey, Claude, how about you try and do this? Or how ChatGPT or Codex, whatever it is, how about you try and do this? And then it does it.
It just does it. Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about that. So tell me, when it does it and it does it right, it's great and it's really fast and you know, hundreds of times faster. Tell me what happens when it doesn't get it right, and give me some examples of those sort of things.
So what it doesn't get right is somehow when you get into very specific details, for example, like deep infrastructure knowledge or deep fundamentals. Let's say the surface level fundamentals, it does really great at that. But one example is when I try to implement like how do you preserve data, and because what we're doing right now is like we're trying to preserve data before it gets wiped out, since we're trying to, every time we do a change on a front end page, we need to populate all the data that needs to be in the database. So now the live data that gets fetched from the live portal outside third party provider, whenever we fetch live data in there, it needs, we don't want to get it wiped out. So we need to preserve it before we deploy something out there. So what I mean by that is when I try to talk to Claude like, hey, do this and do that, it tries to preserve things, but it will add little sprinkles of salt in there that I don't need. Like, why are you trying to do several retries when I did it already? Because I want to load the database only once.
Yep.
I just want to initialize configurations only once, but it's trying to load configuration several times for 2 steps at a time.
It's over ego, isn't it?
It's like, I would say it's doing too much at one time, but and it's doing too less at some other time. There's something, it's not in the middle. There's never a balance at some other times.
Look, the other thing that I think is interesting is I saw Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, talking about their brand new, once again, infrastructure center. And they asked about this. They showed this diagram of the use of Copilot or Microsoft style things, and then in coding. So GitHub Copilot, which is sort of the first one that everybody was using, I would say. And then it showed Claude and a couple of other ones coming up, and Windsurf and different things like VS Code. And it showed that it had this massive dominance a few months ago, and that dominance is getting closer and closer. Now, I don't know what you think. I'd love your opinion. My view of that, he couldn't really answer it. He said, hey, at least we're competing. We're still number one, et cetera, like that. I think the thing that's actually happening is all the developers are actually trying all the different tools. So, I mean, like us, we've got Claude, we've got Copilot, we've got, Codex. We're trying all of them at once. And so the use of all of them is going up because it's interesting and it's difficult. I couldn't work out how to explain this. And I don't know what it is, but each of them is slightly better at different things. And
they specialize.
And sometimes it's even context. It's like, to your point, they help too much. Sometimes they've got such a big context about what's going on that they get lost in themselves. And then you sort of say, hey, just do this. And the new one doesn't have any context and it just does it.
Yeah.
And so, it's a hard, what's your feeling on that?
I guess there's some need to have a balance on how do you interact with different tools and stuff, because technology is developing in a rapid pace, and we cannot catch up into different tools, because tools get rewritten, get improved, or there'll be a new one coming out every next year or every next month, every month. So now every developer out there who's much more experienced, I guess, will try to use that to leverage something out of that. Because there are several tools in line, they're correlated, but they do stuff very differently. Sometimes they do it very best than the other one. So one example is like, for example, Llama Index and then LangChain or LangGraph for developing for chaining agents and workflows. Sometimes they're better at doing RAG, retrieval augmented generation. And then sometimes they're just best at chaining agents. How do you chain operations and then do the output? So when we get to that point where we're trying to explore different options out there, different discoveries, I guess it just depends on just depends on the use case. Because when I'm facing that sort of situation, I will always think of the use case. What's the better use case of this and that? And then if it does it better than that, then I'll use the better one. But somehow, if the most minimal use case that I can get that maximizes the output. That's what I would say if I use that.
Fantastic. Zyro, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Doug, for having me.
And thanks very much for everybody, and see you in a couple of weeks.